Now let's have a look at this question here. And if you look at this question, there are four sentences given to us, and we have to arrange them to form a coherent paragraph, right? So let's look for the opening sentence, because whenever you start with coherent paragraph questions, that is parajumble questions, you have to look for the opening sentence of the paragraph. So it says that one says impartiality and objectivity are fiendishly difficult concepts that can cause all sorts of injustices even if transparently implemented. So if you look at this opening sentence, the first sentence, it looks like an opening sentence because it says impartiality and objectivity are fiendishly difficult concepts that can cause all sorts of injustices even if transparently implemented. So the author must speak about some kind of injustice that is caused that is caused by the difficult concepts of impartiality and objectivity. We must look for some other clue now. Twitter's website says that tweets you are likely to care about most will show up first in your timeline based on accounts you interact with most, tweets you engage with, and much more. So Twitter's website says that tweets you are likely to care will show up first in your timeline based on what? Based on accounts you interact with the most. So if there are accounts with which you interact the most, then those tweets will come. It encourages, so it refers to what? Twitter. So the Twitter's idea is to push those tweets in your timeline depending on the accounts you interact with the most, and by doing so it encourages us into bubbles of people we know and like. You interact with most and it encourages us into bubbles of people we know and like, while blinding us to different perspectives. But deeper problem of transparency lies in the words "and much more." So this word "much more" is where the author says the deeper problem lies. So the words must come before the problem comes. So the author, so 3 basically speaks about Twitter, and it says that based on accounts you interact and tweets you engage with, and much more. So then the author says the problem lies with the word "much more." What is the problem? We are only told some of the basic principles and we can't see the algorithm itself. So this is what Twitter is doing, and the author says the problem lies with the word "much more." And what is that problem? The problem is we are told some of the basic principles and we can't see the algorithm itself. Now this is a problem, making it hard for citizens to analyze the system sensibly or fairly or be convinced of its impartiality and objectivity. So this is the opening sentence of the paragraph statement 1. Why? Because it says impartiality and objectivity are difficult concepts that can cause all sorts of injustices, even if transparently implemented. And the example is Twitter. Twitter's website says that tweets you are likely to care about will show up first in your timeline based on the accounts you interact with most, tweets you engage with, and much more. And the author says the problem lies with the word "much more." We are told some of the basic principles and we can't see the algorithm itself, making it hard for citizens to analyze the system sensibly or fairly. So this is basically the problem. What the problem is that it is difficult to be convinced of the impartiality. Why? Because the problem lies with the word "much more." So there is not much of transparency as it is promised or talked about. So you start with 1, which is basically the universal idea that impartiality and objectivity are difficult concepts that can cause all sorts of injustices. How? Look at the example of Twitter. The website says that tweets that you care about the most will come up in your timeline depending on the people you interact with and tweets you engage with, and much more. The whole idea is that it encourages people into bubbles, into bubbles of people we know and like, while blinding us to different perspectives. But the deeper problem is in the word "and much more." And what is that problem? We are told some of the basic principles and we can't see the algorithm itself. So apart from the people you engage with, there is the algorithm as well. But it is difficult for us to analyze the system sensibly, and that is the problem. So you start with 1 and 3, you go to 2, in which you say the problem is with the word "much more," and then you say what the problem is. So 1, 3, 2, 4 is the logical sequence and the right answer.